Hello, ready for your next assignment? We're going to start by opening our Google Sheets practice file. And if you don't know where to go, you need to start at drive.google.com and you can search for practice and your file should pop up right here in the main window. Now, the last assignment you worked on was your YouTube channel top 5 list. We're going to create a new tab. So I'm going to click on the little plus sign to add a new sheet. And the name of the sheet is going to be population. So we're going to do 3 things today. We're going to pull some information on 5 locations for their population. We're going to calculate an average population for those locations. And we're going to start our first chart or graph. And so it should be fun, should be interesting for you as you get to choose what locations you want to input into the table and into customize your chart. So we're going to start with the heading item. So here are my 2 heading items. In cell A1 I have the heading location, and in cell B1 I have the heading population. Now I have chosen to use 5 countries. You could do cities, you could do states, you could do countries, or any mixture of the above. So that would be for you to choose. You need 5 separate locations. If you wanted to do all 5 locations in California, that would be okay. If you wanted to do 5 states, you could do that as well. 5 cities throughout the world, whatever. That will be up to you and for you to choose. Okay, so Google has a really cool feature built in. If you open a new tab and you type the word population and then your location, it will come up with an answer. So I have 1.252 billion people in India. So I'm going to put that information into my spreadsheet. Now my other 4 places, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do a search for the population and I'm going to fill the data into my spreadsheet. Okay, now I have all my data collected. So I did a population search for each one of these countries. Now just for the sake of this assignment, you may use only one of my countries. If you do, all your other data points need to be different. And I recommend you choose your 5 locations and do not copy mine because I want you to locate the data on your own. Okay, now you notice I got lots of zeros here and it's really hard to delineate the numbers when there's no commas. So if you remember back at the previous activity, you go right here to where it says more formats. This is the numbering formats. And we can format for a number and then we reduce the decimal places. We don't need those decimal places. Okay, next step. We're going to calculate an average population for these 5 locations. So it's going to add them up, divide by the number, and spit out an answer for us. And we don't have to do any work. We're going to have the computer do the work. So I'm going to start right here. I'm going to put average. And then I'm going to use the formula. Over here we have the function. We go to average. It's asking me, okay, what do you want the range of? What is that? B2, B3, B4, B5, and B6. I'm going to press the enter key. Now, your average will vary depending upon what your populations are, what your locations are. Now, what I'm going to be looking for is when I double click on this cell, there's not a number in there. There is a formula and a range. That tells me that you use that formula function of average to calculate the average. So you're telling the computer to do the work. If I click in this cell and there's just a number in there, then you did the calculations. You didn't let the computer do the calculations. Okay, so we're going to kick it up a notch. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time formatting the data here today because we are going to make our first chart or graph, whichever one you want to call it. So in order to make a chart or graph, you have to highlight the data that you want in that chart and graph. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, just for this sake of example, I'm going to leave out the average. I'm only going to highlight A1 through B6. So look at this example, please, and this is what is highlighted to select to create the chart. All right, the next step you're going to take is you're going to go to the Insert menu, and you're going to find the word Chart. It's down here, Insert Chart. So we're going to click that button one time. It's going to give us some choices here. So has the data. This is the data that has been chosen for the chart, and it looks good just as a sneak peek. And you can try the different types. Do you want a line? Do you want a pie chart? I think the bar chart's really good, or if you wanted the column chart. One of those two, but I would stay away from the line and the pie chart. So one of those. And there's a tons more, but for the sake of example, we'll keep it simple. Now, if you go to the Charts tab, you can see all the different types of charts you have to choose from. And like I said, we're going to go with what we have. The last tab is to customize. So your title right now is chart title. Well, we don't want that to be our title. So we're going to name this population. Oops. Populations. Okay. And if you want to change the bold or the size or the color, just for the sake of example, I will make it bigger. We'll italicize it. Okay, then there's a legend, and the legend says the same thing. Now in this case, I'm not even sure we really need a legend, but we'll leave it there. And if you want to, you can change, you want the legend at the bottom. I guess we can leave it at the bottom. We really don't even need it because they're all saying the same thing. So let's go ahead and let's remove it. There you go. Okay, overall font. Let's see. Let's try wide font. That looks kind of nice. How about Comic Sans? No, that's too fun. I'm going to stick with the wide font. Background of my chart, just to be obnoxious, I'm going to make it something really bright. Okay, now you have a horizontal axis that's along the bottom. The title for that one is going to be location. And if you want to adjust the axis labels, you can do that. If you want to adjust, see how it slants them. I'll leave that up to you. I'm just going to leave it on auto. And if you don't like the columns being blue, maybe you like pink. It could be really obnoxious. And let's see, what else do we have? I think that's about it. So I'm going to say insert because I'm all done customizing my chart. And it says you can grab the top of the chart. You see a little hand, and I'm going to move it off to the side just so that I can see my data and I can see my chart. Now, India has way more people than any of the other locations, so you'll see how much shorter they are than each, in comparison rather to India. Okay, this is a really good visual. Now, if you made a mistake and you need to go back and fix the title, you can click here. Like maybe I'm just going to put random populations. I'm going to change my title, and maybe instead of locations, I could say locations selected. Maybe I want to change it from, oops, I wanted to change the color from black to, how about another blue? Okay. So those are just a few ways to customize your chart. It's going to look a little bit different than just the generic chart that it gives you. If you totally mess up, you can click on this little down arrow here and you can delete the chart. No harm done. And you can start all over. It only takes a few minutes anyways. So this is our first chart example. I know it's not beautiful, and your chart will vary depending upon the colors you chose and the populations of your location. So hopefully your chart's a lot better looking than mine. That's it for this assignment. Let me know if you have any questions.